Welcome back to the Arbitress YouTube channel. Today's class will be learning how to make this beautiful structured sleeve that we have here. It's a very versatile sleeve. You can use it to style your dress anyhow you want, and it can be used as a sleeve just as we have seen here. If this is something you'd like to learn, kindly stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to be working with this organza fabric. You can also use organdy or any soft fabric of your choice. And then the width that I'm going to be working with for this fabric is about half yard. Okay, so I have around 20 inches. So I have around 20 inches here, and then that's going to be the measurements that goes around my bicep. Okay, so you can measure around your bicep, and then you leave the allowance that you want it to have, the excess that you want to have. So that's totally up to you, but for me, I'm going to be working with around 20 inches. And then for the length, it depends on the amount of bony channels that you want to have and the space that you're going to be putting in between them. So for me, I want them to have like 5 inches interval. Okay, and I want to have around 6 channels. So if I multiply by that 5 inches by 6, that's going to give me 30 inches. So I'm going to be working with a fabric of 20 inches by 30 inches. I hope you understand that. If you want yours to be more than 30 inches, more than 6 bony channels, you can add as many as you want. I'm sure by the time we finish this tutorial we'll understand what I mean by that. So now the next thing I'm going to do now is to take my chalk now and start marking the channels that I want. That's the intervals between each bony. So now, like I said, I want them to be around 5 inches interval, so I'll mark 5 here. Then the next one is going to be 10, the next will be 15, 20, 25 and 30. Okay, so once I mark that, I'm going to mark it in another place so that I can have a straight line. Then I'm going to come in with my ruler, and then I'm going to draw out that straight line. So I'm just marking, and then I'm going to come in with my ruler now and then draw my straight line. So because organza shifts a lot, so I'm trying to be very sure that I have something at least very close to perfection. Okay, so once you have it there, you're going to come in with your chalk and then mark it. So this marking is just to guide you. If you know you can do it without the mark, you can do that as well. So I'm just making my marks. Okay, so all the marks are made now. I hope you can see it. The next thing now is to start creating our channels. So there are several ways you can create your bony channel. I'm going to be working with these tiny bones. Okay, you can see it's just like 1/4 of an inch. It's very tiny. So when you're making your channel, you have to have the size of the bony you're working with is in mind. You can see how tiny this is. So you can use bias to form your bony channel, but that's going to be so obvious. So what I'm going to do now is just to fold this into 2 along the line, and then I'm just going to sew on it with this size in mind. So whatever it is that you're sewing, I'm going to be sewing 1/4 of an inch so that I can have enough room for my boning. So on all of the lines that I created here now, I'll take it to the sewing machine and then run a stitch of 1/4 of an inch. So after doing this now, I'll leave it, move to the next one, run a stitch, move to the next one, run a stitch. So I'm going to do all of that now and then bring it back to show us. So I've gone ahead to create all of my channels, as you can see. So this is what it looks like on the right side, and this is it on the wrong side. So after creating the channels, I just pressed it down a bit. So I have 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 channels all together, and then on the end point as well, I went ahead to aim it in a way that I can use that as a channel to pass my boning as well on both sides. So you can see how neat this is looking. So the next thing now is to start inserting her boning to the channels that we created. So when you're inserting your boning, you make sure that you leave like 1 inch on both sides, because we're still going to gather that, and this is a plastic bone, you cannot sew on it, so you have to be mindful of that. So carefully now you start inserting your boning to it. So you can see this is how the boning comes. It comes folded, so it has the tendency of taking that shape already. So if you don't want it to be like this, all you just need to do now is to iron your boning. You can use a piece of cloth to cover it up, when you finish inserting it, and iron it down so that it can be straightened up like this for you. But when you're ironing, make sure that you cover it with something. Remember, it's a plastic and you don't want it to melt. So now you can see I have left 1 inch here now, so I'm going to push this a bit now so that I can have that extra space before I cut out my boning. So the first one is inserted, and this is what it looks like. So the same way I inserted this boning, I'm going to insert for all of the channels that I have. So I'm going to bring in the second one again and then insert the boning. So this is what you need to do for all of the boning, depending on the amount of boning channels that you created. So you do this for all of them basically. Yeah. So I'm inserting it to the second one. So like I said, I'm going to go ahead now and insert to all of them, and keep in mind that you have to leave the allowance on the edges for fixing it to your armhole. Okay, so all of the boning have been passed through the channels. Now you can see what we have here. So if you don't want it curved like this, you can go ahead and iron it flat depending on what you want to use it for. But because I want to use this as a sleeve, I made sure when I was fixing my boning, I fixed it towards I made sure that the right side is the one curving like this, so that it's going to make it just conform with the sleeve that I want it to be. So I prefer it to be curved like this, so that it can just curve around the bicep area. So this is what I want. So after doing this, now remember we left like half an inch, 1 inch on this side. So I went straight to the sewing machine and then I ran a gather stitch on that part. Okay, so now I'm going to be drawing the gather gently to the size of the armhole that I'm working with. So I'm just pulling the thread. I'm just trying to detach the thread, then I'm going to pull it gently. So this is me pulling the thread gently to form the gathers that I want and the size of my armhole. So I'm going to be placing it on these bodies that I already have. So I'm working with the size of this armhole that I have here already. So you do the same thing for the two sides. Remember, we're going to be sewing it to both the front and back. So you gather this to your armhole size. Okay, so I think I have what I want, so I'm just going to check that with my tape. So what the boning does is that it gives this sleeve structure. Okay, instead of the organza to just go flat or just go and hang down like that, it's just going to leave it bouncy and give it this beautiful structure that we have. So after gathering it with your gather stitch, the next thing you need to do now is to sew this to your armhole. Okay, so sew it to our armhole and the sleeve is ready. So after gathering it, you can decide to just hem it. Remember, organza frills a lot, so you can decide to just go ahead and serge this part before you gather it, so that it can be neat. But you can also sew it to your sleeve first, and then you use your bias to finish it up neatly. Okay, so I'm gonna head to sew it to my sleeve now. I can see what we have. Okay, so this is what it looks like. So now I'm going to take it to the mannequin so that we can see what this looks like. Okay, so this is what the structured sleeve looks like. You can see how it's standing on its own. You can spread it as much as you want, and you can increase the measurement depending on what you want. So this is what the full view looks like, and it's really beautiful, as we have seen. If this is something you have learned one or two things from, and if you enjoyed this video, kindly share with your friends, like, comment and subscribe to our channel. Your comment is very important. Your like and comment very important to the channel. It helps the channel grow, and more people are going to see the video if you engage by liking and commenting on the video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.